Hello everyone, I'm Harshika Narula from Grade 9C, the Lexicon International School, Kalani Nagar. So today I have made a really interesting project on CNN, which is convolutional neural networks. So this is actually a topic that is very vast. I have just made a simple example code of it. I will be explaining the code, but first I will explain to you what is CNN. CNN is basically a set of steps that we use to train a model for images. So, this is all about training the model for images. How can a model know which image is what? For example, in the example that I've shown you here, I found this image, and this is a really nice explanation of CNN. So over here you can see there is a panda, and in the end, in the output, it is choosing from the three if it is a panda, if it is a red panda or a raccoon. You can see over here it's written. So how can we do that? What are the steps behind it? So there is a code, but the code does not cover everything in deep. This is the explanation. So first, what happens is the input goes in. So the input over here is our image of the panda, and then we add convolution to it. Convolution is nothing but the feature extractions, you can say. Over here it is written. Feature extractions are basically the vertical feature extractions and the horizontal feature extractions. These are the two feature extractions. They basically extract the features. For example, in a red panda, it will extract that the ears are pointed. In a raccoon, also the ears are pointed. But maybe in a rabbit, the ears are not pointed. Or maybe a red panda's eyes are circle. And maybe some other creature's eyes are not circle. Like that, it will take out small features that will help for it to understand the image. So this is convolution plus ReLU. ReLU is basically kernel. It is a type of kernel, you can see over here. What it does is it basically just helps in understanding the extractions. So it is basically feature extraction. We don't need to really go into that deep right now. Next, we have pooling. Now, what is pooling? An image can be of any size, like it can be really big or it can be really small. If I have an image of a panda, then I don't need such a big image. I just need a small image to identify if this is a panda or if this is a raccoon. But if I have an image of a person and I want to know the features of their face, or I want a perfect image, or there are three persons that I'm comparing in between, then I might need a larger image. So what pooling does is it minimizes the size of the image. Now how it does is it is actually really simple, and it is also a weird way how it does it. You can define in pooling that you want 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, 4 by 4, however you like. But I usually use 2 by 2 or 3 by 3. So what it does is it takes 2 pixels vertically and 2 pixels horizontally and converts all those 4 pixels into 1 pixel. And it continues to do like that. For example, I'll show you an example of pooling. So you can see over here. No, this is actually average pooling. This is nice. So you can see that in max pooling, we don't need to see the numbers right now. We can just see the using the colors. So the numbers I'll also be explaining. You can see that this color, beige color, the 4 of the colors are converted into one square. So the 4 squares are converted into one square. So they have used 2 by 2. And same with the orange, blue and red. So you can see it has converted. Now what is average pooling? It is actually really simple. In average pooling, I am not sure about max pooling because that is used in higher codes. In average pooling, it will basically take out the average of the 4 squares. So it is really simple. It is usually used for colors. like which color to apply. If you are, for example, if for these four squares I'm doing pooling, pull pixels are really small, so if you do pooling you won't really notice that much. But let us just say that this is one, these are 4 pixels. Now what color should the, you can say, code apply? Now for that, you can also define if you want average pooling or max pooling. I always go with average pooling. So in average pooling, what it does is it takes out the RGB of each color, the red color content, the green color content, and the blue color content, because we know that all colors are made from RGB. And then it checks the, you can say, average of all those colors, and then it makes a color that will look believable, like it will actually look like the previous image. For example, if over here there is green and then I apply red, that won't make sense. And then there are different layers of convolution and pooling. So it is like a loop. You can do it how many ever times you want. Convolution, pooling, convolution, pooling, convolution, pooling. It depends on your need. Like I told you, if you just want an overall view, ki if this is 2 or if this is 3, or you want to know that if this is this animal or that animal. It's like, for example, these three animals, they're kind of similar. But if you want the difference between a monkey and a cat, that is not very same. So you can apply pooling many times, and the more times you apply pooling and convolution, the faster your code will run. Like the end part, when you compile and when you fit those parts, it usually takes a lot of time. But if you have already have used pooling and now the image is like really small, it will, like, you can say, it will work faster. And then we have the flattened layer. So I'll just first explain these three that are written over here. First is feature extraction. Like I told you, that we extract the features, there is convolution, there is pooling. So it is all about working on the image. And then there is classification. Classification, it will go through all possibilities. Like you can give over here in classification, it is usually based on epoch. Epoch is EPOCHS. Now this epoch, it defines how many times you want to run different, you can say, combinations. Now every feature might go to another animal. Like for example, the panda's eyes are very similar to the raccoons, and the panda's hands are very similar to the red panda. So you can say that how many times do you want to run the program again and again. The more times you run the program again and again, the better output you will get. But then again, there, you don't want to overfit the program. So over here we use classification. We find different combinations, like what could be the best possible answer, and then we use softmax activation, and we find out the output. So softmax activation is basically based on accuracy score. So the accuracy score defines what the image will be. Like over here it shows the panda. Why did it choose the panda? Why not the red panda? It is showing that it also has 0.2% chance that it is a red panda. But there is a 0.7% chance that it is a panda. So in whichever, you can say, in mm, whichever photo or whichever name or whatever we're classifying it on, whichever has the most accuracy, the code will say it as this. Okay, this image that we got, it is this. So now we got a overall understanding of CNN. So now I'll go into the CNN example. So this CNN example, it's a little complicated, but once you understand it, it is very simple and it is so fun to learn. This is one of my favorite topics right now. So I have made a CNN on the numbers. Like I will give an image of a number and the code needs to identify if it is number 2, if it is number 0 or 3. So it's like one digit numbers only, but it's a start. So now first you have to install Keras. So pip install Keras. Don't forget to pull double L install, And once you've installed Keras, you won't be needing to install Keras in any other of your files, because it will just get installed in the Colab if you use Colab. Otherwise, if you use something like PyCharm, which I used to use before, you'll have to install it every time, because every project has a different pip install lines. And then we have a few imports. I will be explaining what their use is as we go on to the code. The first is from keras.datasets import mnist. Now, first I'll tell you what mnist is. Mnist is basically, it's an already built, you can say, mnist is nothing but it's like a few data sets or data frames, you can say, that are already there in Colab, or you can say in Keras. As we just imported Keras, now they're in our Colab. So MNIST consists of many datasets, like also an iris dataset, on which I'll be sharing my next video. It is an ANN and CNN iris project. So next we have xtrain comma ytrain in one bracket and xtest comma ytest in the other bracket is equal to mnist.load data. So right now mnist.load, I am loading the mnist data, which has the numbers. You can say it has like, so first I'll just be like, you can say I'll be training the model on an already built data set, and then I'll be giving my own images and check if the code can find them out correctly. It depends on the accuracy score that you have, if you will get the correct output or not, as it usually gets confused between 1 and 7. So next we have a few common like numpy, pyplot, and then we of course need to import from pill import image, because we're going to work on images. And we have some more keras dot imports that you can see. Now when you read them, you'll get a little idea of what we're going to do. So you have convolution, you have average pooling, you have flatten layer. So let's move on. So first, now that I've downloaded the mnist.load data, I can now in mnist.load data, this dot load underscore data, the mnist, it has, right now it has images. I downloaded the images, and these images, they have all the numbers from 0 to 9. So then I printed xtest.shape to see what the size. So you can see over here the length, breadth, and the number of images. So the number of images are 10,000. That's a lot. Now all these 10,000 images are in like different, you can say, all zeros won't be the same, so that the model gets trained properly. I'll give you an example. In later I have printed plt.im_show. This is to show the image, xtrain 1000, and plt.title ytrain 1000. So what is happening over here is all the images are in xtrain, and all the number of the images, like it is 0. So the number of the image is in y. So same with xtrain and ytrain and xtest and ytest. And over here 10,000 images are in xtrain. There might be more in xtest. So over here you can see this is a 0, and it is also giving me a 0 in the title. I'll try some other. I'll try maybe 100, and I'll run it. You can see now I have 5, but this does not look like a 5, but the model is still showing 5. So this is not a 5, but then what is it closest to? It is closest to 5. You can't say it as a 2, you can't say it as a 7 either. Let's try some other number. So you can see this is a 6. I'm just trying to show two numbers which look different. Let's try 150. So now you have 4. Usually people write 4 as this. And over here we have a different kind of 4. Over here you can see that this line is very extended. So the model basically should get to understand, and the model should be able to identify what number it is. That is the whole point of training the model before. So now let's go ahead. Now there is ReLU. It is also known as rectified linear unit. It is an activation that we'll be using for convolution. As we had seen over there is convolution plus ReLU always. And in the end, one layer will be after the flatten, there will be one layer of softmax, as we saw in the image over here. There is a softmax layer, and the other ones are convolution plus ReLU. Now softmax and ReLU, they're both activation, you can say, arguments. So first, there is sequential. Now I had showed you we had imported sequential over here. It is keras.models. Now whenever we work on a model in CNN, we will take it as sequential. So I usually name sequential as model, so it is easy to understand that this is my model. But you can name it as anything, sequential, you can name it as A, B, C, D, anything. It is just a name of a variable. And then we have model.add. Whenever you want to add a layer, you will always write model.add. This is a very simple line, and you have to remember this if you are going to write codes on your own later. And then we have conv.td, which is convolution 2D. And then I have applied some filters. Filters are basically like how many filters it is going to extract. So I told it to extract 32. I don't want to overfit my data, neither do I want to underfit the data. I just want to fit the data. And then I put the kernel size, then activation, and then input shape. Now, input shape is important. These are three arguments that you'll always have to put whenever you're using convolution. But input shape, you only put it once. How many ever types you're doing convolution and average pooling? You only put input shape once, because it is just to tell the data that the shape of my images are 28, 28, and comma 1 tells that you have to like work on one image at one time. So every time I run this program, it will only, you can say, it will only run one image at a time. It cannot run two images at a time. Then what? It will become 90, 28, 43. We don't want that. And then there is average pooling, and as I told you, I put the pool size to 2, 2 every time. And I have only done convolution and average pooling twice. You can do it thrice or 4 times. And then we have the flatten layer. The flatten layer is nothing but it is used to, you can say, make the image into one dimensional and to flatten the image. So flatten the image, it's not only one dimensional. What it actually does is it places all the pixels in one single line. So it is easy for the code to understand what the image is about. And then we have a dense. From the dense argument, you can say it is the activation softmax, as we had seen in the image that I had shown. And then we compile the data. In compiling, the optimizer will always be Adam. It is a type of optimizer. You can also use different optimizers, but I find optimizer Adam the best. You can use try and error method for this. You can use different optimizers and see which one is the best for your code. And then you have loss categorical entropy and matrix accuracy. So matrix accuracy basically tells that I want the output on the basis of accuracy. And next we have, in the output we have a table. It is just showing us the parameters, trainable parameters, total parameters, what happened after flatten layer, dense layer. Next we have model.fit. We have to, in every model that we make, whenever we train, after that we have to fit the model. So model.fit, I have used model.fit. If the name of your sequential is anything else, you will put it instead of model. And then I have put xtrain.reshape. In bracket I have 60,000, 28, 28, 1. and to categorial Y train. Now this is basically reshaping the data because reshaping is important. Without reshaping, your code will give an error. You can't just write X train comma Y train. And you'll always have to reshape it as X train dot reshape and to categorial as two and Y train as two categorial, sorry. And then I have put epoch as 1 and batch size as 1. So epoch, I told you how many times it should run over and over again. I just put it as 1 because it's a really big data. I don't want to overfit it, and I also don't want the code to take too much time to run it. And then the batch size. The batch size basically means how many batches it should run together. Like I told you, the 4 columns, it will be running together. The 4 columns will turn into 1. So it will, in batch size, if I put 2, then it will put it will put 2 pixels for different 4 columns. It will like basically do the work faster, but I don't want to do that. I want to do everything one by one. That is why I always put batch size as 1. And then we predict y. So y predict is equal to model.predict, and now I've predicted like we always do. X test in the bracket there is 1000 and dot reshape. In reshape you can see I have 1 comma 28 comma 28 comma 1. So 1 comma 28 comma 28 comma 1, you can see that there is one extra one. One is this first one defines that it is one image. These 28 28 define the length and breadth, and this one defines the height. Now that we have a one dimensional image, you can say it will only show when we put height as 1. And then we predict the y, and we get the answer as 9. So you can see I nowhere put y train. I just put x test, that what is the value of the 1000 x test. And then I've printed the 1000 x test to check what it is showing. You can see here we have 9. You can try with anything else. You can try with anything below that is in the data currently. And now is the fun part. We will be putting our own images. So for that, you can just make an image in Paint and you can download it in your desktop anywhere, and then we will later be placing it over here. I have already placed 2 images, and the third image I will be showing you how to place. So over here, the first image, you can see it is content slash 6.png. You can see this is the image that I've made in Paint. I put the black screen and in front of it I wrote 6, and you can see it is showing me the correct output 6. So let's see what code I've written for this. First, I've resized the image to 28,28 because all the images that I've trained for are 28,28, and even the code that I've written is for 28,28. Next, we have img underscore array is equal to np.array in the bracket image. Over here, I'm basically making the image into an array. The previous images were already into an array. And then I have image underscore array 255. So I forgot to tell this little detail. You can say 255. This number in the RGB, when R, G and B, all three of them are 255, then the color is white. If all three are 0, then the color is black. So over here I'm minusing, you can say subtracting 250. I'm subtracting the image from 255 to basically find out the color is black, because you can see over here I've written it in white, but I don't want it in white, I want it in black, because that is easier for the code to understand. You can also not write that line, it does not really matter. And then there is img underscore array. I've reshaped it again to how I told you, 1 comma 28 comma 28 comma 1, which is height, the image size, the image and the image length and breadth. And then we do model.predict with img.array, and if you have any other name for the variable model, you can write that, but as I have used model, I will be writing model.predict. And then we have np.argmax bracket pred. So over here that's the same code as previous, and then I have imshow and I've used CMap Gray. You can not put CMap, it is really not important. And then I've also reshaped it, and then I've run plt.show. So you can see it is showing the correct answer. Let's go on to the next image. The code is the exact same, and over here you can see the image is 8, but it is showing me the value as 2. So obviously if you see a little carefully, you might be able to find a few features that look like 2, as this curve, this line, and there is a line below. So it's like a little similar to 2. That is why we are saying that our model is not perfect. Now for the third image, I'll be showing you how to upload the image into Colab. So all you have to go is to go to the files. You have to click on upload. This button you can see it is showing upload. We will click on it and we go into the desktop. I have my image over here. I will just open it. Wherever you have your image, you can open it. And now that we have this, we will go into the three dots and we will click on copy path. When we click on copy path, we have the path on our control C. Now we will click on control V. And in the codes, I get the path from my image. And when I click on do start whatever, I get the image. So over here I have my image and you can see that this is my image 9. So now you can see that again it is showing the wrong answer. It is clearly taking this as 1, this line, and it has many features. If you see as compared to 1, it has this line, many people write 1 as that. So now this was my project. I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you enjoy coding with CNN. I will also be posting more videos on CNN and also a new neural network, ANN. Thank you and enjoy coding. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get more videos like these.